Welcome back to Hampstead Heath. We're here to trace another one of London's lost rivers. Today we're going to follow the Westbourne River. Now the Westbourne River starts up here on the highest point on the Heath. You can see the flagpole behind me. That marks the highest point on the Heath and indeed the highest point in the old county of London. So we're very high up above the city here. Now the Westbourne is one of the major lost rivers of London. It's about the same size as the River Fleet and about the same length. Now the source of the Westbourne is actually visible in this major pond on top of Hampstead Heath Hill. The Whitestone Pond here, it's an ancient bit of water. It's been here for centuries, fed by rainwater. And there are also springs around here which feed into the Westbourne. I'm going to dip my toe in it. There we go, a bit of the River Westbourne on my foot.
Although it was once a major river, the Westbourne is now entirely underground, in places part of the sewage system. But there are still clues on the surface where you can see it, if you know where to look.
Okay, we're following the river down Frognal now, a wavy street that goes through Hampstead. And over here, you can actually hear the River Westbourne in this grill.
From Frognal, the river runs under the Finchley Road, underneath the O2 Centre, and then down the hills towards West Hampstead.
So we're now in the back streets of West Hampstead. Those who know the area will see West End Lane at the top of the hill there. And you can clearly see we're in a river valley here. This is where the River Westbourne is. But it was called the Kilburn at this point, and you may have heard of Kilburn, the large residential area, which is over that way. Kilburn itself is the name of a river. Burn means bourne, means river, like Holborn, Tyburn, Kilburn. So it all ties in very nicely.
There also used to be this plaque on this pub here, showing the height of the water that it reached when the river once flooded. Speaking of Kilburn, here on Kilburn High Road itself there are two plaques which give more clues. First of all is this, the site of Kilburn Wells, a spring that was next to the river. And then across the street there's this in the pavement, showing where from medieval times there used to be a bridge over the water. Through Kilburn, the river wheels through Maida Vale and Paddington, where there's not much to see above ground, so our next stop is at Lancaster Gate Tube Station.
So we're now on the busy, noisy Bayswater Road, kind of cutting through the heart of West London. And it's called Bayswater Road because of the River Westbourne, as you won't be surprised to hear by now, which used to flow across the road at about this point. You can clearly see the river valleys in the road. It's a fairly light slope, but it's very noticeable that way and that way, sloping upwards. And we're outside the Swan pub. It's quite appropriate really, because this is on the banks of the old River Westbourne. And there you see a swan floating in a river in the pub sign.
We cross the busy Bayswater Road and enter a more tranquil environment where we can actually see some water.
Well, we're now in Kensington Gardens in this lovely Italianate garden pond area. This was created in the Victorian times, but what you see behind us is the Serpentine, which is much older. This was created in 1730 at the wishes of Queen Caroline, Queen of George II. She wanted an ornamental feature to come in these public gardens to beautify them with water. She ordered the damming of the River Westbourne a little bit further down from here. The water backed up and formed the Serpentine as we see it today. Now the waters of the Serpentine are no longer fed by the Westbourne. That of course is now in a sewer over to the east of this part of the park. But this was originally formed from the waters of the Westbourne, so it's one of the few relics that you can still see above ground.
South of the river and we get to the very nice area of Knightsbridge. Again, bridge. The clue is in the name.
So we're now on the appropriately named Bourne Street in deepest Chelsea. We're above Sloane Square Tube Station, which many people will know, it's a famous story, is a place you can see the river flowing over the train tracks in a big metallic pipe. Now we're on Bourne Street, as I say, where you can get a better view without having to go through the oyster barriers. So if you squeeze down, follow me down, you can see through this gap here. You might be able to see the green pipe in the distance there. That's the River Westbourne flowing over the tracks.
From Sloane Square, it's just a short walk down to the Thames, where you'll find the Outfall of the Westbourne just to the west of Chelsea Bridge.
Well, here we are at the end of our walk. We followed the River Westbourne all the way from Hampstead Heath down to the Chelsea embankment. Now originally the Westbourne used to decant into the Thames. It was a tributary of the river. But then when it became a sewer, it became a bad thing to do. Obviously you don't want all that pollution running into the Thames. So they built a Chelsea embankment here to capture that sewage coming down off the Westbourne and carry it off down to Bexon, many miles away. You can kind of see its route through the Chelsea Hospital grounds over there, the gorgeous building by Christopher Wren. Comes through those gardens, under where we're standing, and out to a little portal into the Thames, which you can see by peering over the wall. You can see the outfall down here. There's a little hole in the wall. The tide's too high at the moment, so we can't go down and show you inside, but you can get a good view from over the wall here.
But we did get down there a few years ago, and you can see from these pictures these giant steel doors where the Westbourne opens out into the Thames. And that's the Westbourne, one of London's largest lost rivers.